Hello, Lenox and Parker. This is your editor-in-chief, Christal Jordan, and it is the summertime. We are well into summer. We are preparing to celebrate Juneteenth and all of those amazing things that happen in the month of July when it's super hot. But our travel issue allows us to escape and take a look at some of the other things that are going on around this big, beautiful world. And today's guest is an expert on the environment. He has such a passion for us keeping our earth, safe and making sure that we're practicing a healthy lifestyle that not only benefits us, but also benefits the environment that we have been blessed with. He is also one of the co-stars of our upcoming travel issue. Please help me welcome actor Matthew Lawrence. Hi, Matthew.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
Too.
Like I said, I enjoy talking to you because you have such a passion for not just a healthy lifestyle for us, but also for us really appreciating and understanding the importance of saving the earth and really making sure that we're doing all that we can to preserve the natural state, right, of the earth as much as we can, with what we've done. And so this cover issue, we really talked a little bit about blue zones, which I didn't know anything about until, you mentioned, you shared, the information with me. So number one, I would love to just have you explain to our viewers who may be like me and may not know, what is the definition of a blue zone?
Okay. Yeah. A blue zone is a spot on the planet where people have incredibly longevity. So they're living, to 100 years of age. They're doing it with good health. And there are a bunch of key factors that a bunch of scientists and, researchers have kind of put together that really defines what they think, leads itself to a really long, healthy, happy life.
Mm-hmm. So we actually shot this cover with you and Chile in Sardinia, Italy. And the experience in Sardinia was so different than any I've had before. And seeing the culture, seeing how people live, seeing how they ate, it was really explained to me how they have a different quality of life and can live to be 100. But I would love for you to explain exactly what factors kind of go into making it a blue zone. And specifically from Sardinia, what are the things that you saw during that time period that allowed people there to really have a different type of quality of life and for it to lead to some of them living, well past 100?
Yeah, absolutely. It really comes down to a bunch of key factors. And the key factors really are living in connection with the land itself, as well as the people around you. Those two things just in itself really are kind of the hallmark of a blue zone. They're living in harmony with the nature and the community. So I don't know, what we experienced in Sardinia at firsthand, where everybody was just so welcoming and nice, went out of their way to show you, a smile, which we tend to not get sometimes in our bigger cities here and in other cities around the world. People just kind of cut themselves off from both the community and the land at which they live. You see everybody, after they eat dinner, they're walking at least a mile home. So there's that natural, humans, that's why we're bipedal. We were meant to walk. We were meant to walk great distances, whether it was for food or exploration or to find the love of your life. We were meant to move. And so, and be outdoors. And that's another big thing. I think we, as a species, have really cut ourselves off from the outside world. And when you do that, you lose that connection with literally the ground itself, the actual electromagnetic field that the earth produces. We have cut ourselves off from that, from the sun, which provides a bunch of nutrients. And then also, reaping the rewards from the seeds you sow. It's an old expression, but it's so true. When you're planting a garden and that soil is organic and isn't tainted, and then you're eating those fruits and vegetables, there's a life force within that that transferring into your cells. Unlike when you eat food that's been on a truck and has been ripened through nitrogen, and then you have all these processed products, which are literally they're just dead foods. They don't transfer that cellular life to our cells. So that is really the hallmark. And also too, it seems that people, you need a purpose in life. You need a reason to get up. And when you have that community that really is welcoming, they also show that generational families stick together. Like the grandmothers are living with the family, or the grandfathers, the grandparents, great grandparents. They keep that sense of family and community, and they prioritize that. That's
Mm-hmm.
another hallmark of a blue zone. And then when it comes down to the diet, it's based a lot in plant-based. There's a lot of leafy greens and fruits and vegetables, and then they throw in a bunch of fish
Yeah.
and cheeses. I found, especially in Sardinia, the cheese is one of the staples of their diet, and
Mhm.
the cheese has all these different enzymes and proteins that we can, absorb, and so that helps a lot. And then outside of one of the blue zones, most of them also, and I think it's for the antioxidants, have like a glass of red wine a day, believe
Mm.
it or not, and that was something that I was surprised, because especially in Sardinia, people are always kind of toasting their meals at the end with a glass of wine or something. And we would think, gosh, could that be bad? But there's got to be something to the properties of the antioxidants with it that lead to giving your body a boost, and then there's the meditation, the prayer, whatever it
Mhm.
is that fulfills you and your spirituality in that way, is another hallmark, something that's always very important in these areas. In
Yeah.
particular, the one in Loma Linda, California, which is mostly a Seven-Day Adventist
Mhm.
community. And
Mhm.
that community in itself, they obviously cut out any of the wine. So, they're still living to 100. So that's definitely not like the most important thing. But they're
Mhm.
eating this plant-based diet. I think a lot of it has to do with just
The
cutting out
way they eat.
processed foods, the way
Yeah.
they eat, you know,
Yeah.
and then moving, and then staying moving, because they always walk to their place
Mhm.
of worship, or they're walking home from. So there's a lot of that involved as well.
Yeah. One of the things I learned, because we ate for about 2.5 weeks, I ate bread with every meal. But I didn't feel heavy. I didn't
No.
feel bloated. And
Yeah,
so I wonder, two things: the bread eaten at every single meal, like breakfast,
yeah,
lunch, and dinner.
I
And
know.
then, you mentioned the water being so different. And because a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
us here in America, we think, okay, we got our bottled water, and we think that we're doing, the healthy thing by getting that bottled water. So can you
yeah,
speak to why, you can eat pizza, you can eat bread
yeah.
in other places, and it doesn't have the same effect? And what is the difference between the actual water? Because I noticed, we went out to the Mediterranean Sea, and you kept talking about how the water was alive. And I had no idea that there was a difference between water that was actually from a living source.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So when it comes to the breads and the grains in itself, Italy has done a wonderful thing in protecting their grains as like almost a cultural thing, where they don't allow the GMOs and the processing of their grains. So what we did here, we have this kind of epidemic in the US right now of being gluten intolerant. I
Hmm.
was went to the doctor. I was having all these troubles, and they did all these allergy tests, and comes back, I'm now gluten intolerant. I'm Italian. I ate pizza and pasta every day, but I noticed over the last 5 to 10 years, it just started to not sit well with me, and to the point
Hmm.
where it caused issues. But then you can go over to Italy in a place like Sardinia, and you can, yes, eat it with every meal, and there's no problem. And that's because they're using an ancient grain. So here in the US, we've taken our grain and we've swolled it up to make
Hmm.
our, to produce more of it per individual grain, so that we have a higher yield. And as well, we've made it basically inedible to the insects that want to eat it. So again,
Hmm.
just protecting the yield. In doing that, we've created a grain that also doesn't digest well in the human system. Really, nothing natural can now digest our grain very well. Now you go over to Italy, and they're using an ancient grain that's been around for thousands of years, hasn't been changed, and they're using minimal ingredients, all organic natural ingredients come from the land, and we're able to process it not just well, but really well.
Hmm.
Our bodies could literally be sustained off of some vegetables and a plate of pasta, whereas you can't do that over here now.
Yeah.
It's not working for us. So
Hmm.
it basically comes down, and the farmers here, they tried to fight it, but when the farmer next door is literally out producing them in such an extreme, you can't blame them for switching over, and that's
Right.
kind of what has happened. Pretty much 90 to 100% of our farmers now use a GMO grain, which
Wow.
unfortunately we just can't produce. So that's the problem we have here in the States, and why it makes such a big difference with our digestion. And then when it comes to the water, so the water that comes out of our taps is highly treated, and it has to be, because
Hmm.
there would be a whole bunch of different pathogens in the waters that would also make us sick. But in doing that, now our water is full of things that they're not really screening for. High chemicals, high metals, and to believe it or not, all these different kinds of drugs and hormones that we take to throughout our daily lives for other different ailments. They don't have filters to filter this stuff out. So we're bathing in this, we're
Yeah.
brushing our teeth in it, and then we go to the store and we buy, like you said, bottled water, thinking, oh, this is a healthy, good water. And 90% of the bottled water out there is just boiled tap water. That's all
Mm.
that it is. And so again, when I was saying that cellular life transfer, you're now drinking water that is distilled, which or reverse osmosis, however you want to do it, the same thing occurs. You're basically taking everything out of it and just having pretty much pure H2O. And then they try to add electrolytes and things, but actually that's processed foods in the
Mm.
end of the day. This water, the normal water that you would get from a spring or a well water that you would drink, there's life in it. And that
Yeah.
life is being, again, transferred to our cells when we drink it. I don't think a lot of people know this, but if you just drank distilled water, you would actually slowly dehydrate and be probably wind up in the hospital because
That's
your
crazy.
cells are not able to absorb the life from the water. It's really wild, but that's the truth.
That is
So
crazy.
yeah,
I heard Damon John. We had him on the cover of this magazine, and he talked about that. And I did not.
yeah.
I had no idea. One last question for you about Sardinia. What did you enjoy the most? We got these amazing pictures of you and Chili out on the boat. But what was your biggest takeaway? What did you enjoy the most out of the experience you had over there?
Definitely the lifestyle. It was a big shock coming from the U.S. where we're all about work, 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 and that's the most important thing, providing and making money and doing our thing. Hey, there's a good thing to that. A lot of brilliant things can come out of that kind of drive, but at what cost? And that's
Right.
what I really took away from Sardinia is, in the middle of the day from 2 to 7, they go home. All the
Mm.
stores closed. The restaurants are closed. It becomes almost a ghost town. And you're like, wait a minute, what is going on? Well, what's going on is they're going home to their families. They're
Yeah.
making lunches. They're enjoying their community. They're taking naps. They're having prayer time or meditation time. They're taking that time. They prioritize their lives and their soul over productivity in that
Mhm.
sense. And that's what I really took away from it was, wow, you can really have, I think, a good mixture of both, I think, is where we should land as a species. I think that would be incredible if we could do something like that. But that was my takeaway. It was really the lifestyle, the community aspect of it was just, I absolutely fell in love with it. And it was actually hard. It was a bit bumpy coming back into the States, it just going back into that grind. I started to, like, my joints started to ache again, and inflammation's up, and I'm like, what
Mhm.
is it? Is it this? Is it that? And I'm like, no, it's pretty much that. It's that lifestyle where we grind away here.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. I consider myself taking back a piece of Sardinia by telling people, which is what we're doing, educating people
yeah,
about that. And if you can just practice one thing different, right? So just
yeah,
maybe do a little bit more walking,
yeah,
try to drink a little bit more water, and try to, create a vegetable garden or something that
yeah.
you can do, to make small improvements. Before we let you go, I would love to hear a little bit about. I know you got some really fun things coming up with your podcast, with your
Yeah,
brothers. Fans
yeah,
love seeing, the three of you guys, because we knew that your family was really close. The Lawrence brothers was always, we know that the big entertainment family. But to see that you all have all grown up, we watched you grow
mm,
up, and now you're all grown up and adults, but still working together and being able to take some of your experiences and have great conversations with other celebrities and influencers and experts. Talk a little bit about the podcast and what you guys have coming up.
yeah. The podcast has been such a blessing. We didn't know what we were doing coming out of COVID. We were just like, we got to do something to keep ourselves, busy in a sense. And so we started the podcast, and people have just, kind of rallied around it, and it's been very humbling and cool. And so we're taking it out on the road. We have a couple shows in Vegas and all across the East Coast, and it's just it keeps building almost like a snowball. It's kind of gaining momentum, almost out of our control. It's taking on a life of its own. So that's super cool. We out of that has spawned now a graphic novel that we're going to be launching at Comic-Con coming up, and And then we have a possible a movie that we're making in this end of this summer. So there's just a bunch of stuff going on, and
Yeah.
it's great. It's great. I love working with my brothers and the family. You know, as you get older, it's like, as we learned from Blue Zones, it's like you have this community, and that's, if that's my bubble, that's just
Yeah.
fine with me. I'd rather stay inside that and enjoy my life and have my soul nourished
Mhm.
than anything else.
I love that. What is the best thing and the worst thing about working with your older and younger brother?
I'll start with the best. The best is it's like I always have them to rely on going into a working situation. I know that no matter what moods, no matter how tired, the three of us will elevate each other, will be better than the individual sum of one person.
Mhm.
So that's the blessing of it. I know that a spark will happen, everything
Mhm.
will turn on, the juices will start to flow, and it'll be a good product in the end of the day. The downside is you can't hide anything with your brothers. That's another
Yeah.
thing too.
Yeah.
You can't just keep quiet and hope the rest of the cast picks up. Like, it's a demand that it has to be met. So those are
Yeah.
the two sides of the coin there.
Yeah. Last question, Matthew. A lot of us, I mean, you were in some pieces that I think really were about like our pop culture, right? So obviously, Miss Doubtfire, one of the biggest movies. You had an opportunity to work with the legend, and not only was he such an amazingly talented man, I never met Robin Williams, but he seemed like such a beautiful spirit as well. And then, of course, you were on Boy Next Door, and just Give Me a Break, and several other things. Can you share like what is one of the best memories that you have from your childhood, because you were on all these huge, these huge television sitcoms and movies. And we hear so many times about children that are stars that have such a difficult time. And you and your brother seem to have a very different experience. So can you just share one golden memory that you have from one of those projects that you were on?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to choose one. My childhood is a mix of all these type of incredible moments that I was privy to, and a couple that stand out, I'd say, was definitely working with Robin Williams and experiencing his compassion, and the fact that he let me in at 12 years old to the experience that he was living, both in front of the camera and off the camera, and took an investment in me. That it's hard to put actually into words, because it spanned over many years, and just to get to experience a performer and a person like that at such a young age definitely find who I was. And I never understood, still to this day, the entertainers who don't give back, who don't respect fans, and who don't have that kind of compassion, and make the work environment not great, because you see someone who's literally, in my opinion, one of the top to ever do it,
Yeah.
who can do both, and do both
Mhm.
with such elegance
Yeah.
that there's just no excuse for an entertainer to behave that way. So even though I don't think my mom would have ever let me behave that way, seeing somebody in the real flesh do it, and do it at such a high level on both sides,
Hmm.
that was incredible. And I experienced that I've been very fortunate. I experienced that with others as well, like Nell Carter on Give Me a Break at such a young age. Again, I'll never forget this memory. Just listening to music in the back of her car, and
Hmm.
watching her perform and sing, and just being like in awe of someone who could command such space with their performing and their art, that that's what I would aspire to be to when I was growing up. So I
Yeah.
was very, very, very blessed in that way to get to spend some time with some of the greats, and then also have them be such good human beings is
Yeah.
also what really made it,
Yeah.
such a thing.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. And we appreciate you for sharing that with us. And I want to give you your flowers because you're amazing at what you do. I had an opportunity to kind of see you do that up close and personal. And you are one of the most charismatic people on camera that I have met. And I think you have, your best is yet to come. I'm excited because I know that with everything that you and your brothers have going on, the world is going to get to see even more of you all and get to see the second chapter, which is
Yeah.
really exciting. And then I know you have a lot of other things coming up. So we will definitely check back in with you in 2025. But thank you for sharing a little bit more with us just about the environment and the importance of understanding blue zones and giving us some tips on how we can kind of create our own little blue zone
Yep.
wherever we are.
Absolutely. Yep. Be nice to your neighbors and have a little garden and yeah, take time for your soul. It's really
Yeah,
important.
I love it. Matthew, let people know where they can follow you at.
Yeah. I'm on Instagram. It's my name, Matt Lawrence, and we have a YouTube for the Lawrence brothers and our podcast. So like and subscribe there if you can, and yeah, check in. We'll be giving announcements out about things coming up. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, have a great time at Comic-Con, and we
Thank
will
you.
definitely check in with you soon.
Okay, cool. Great
All
to
right.
talk to you.
Thanks, Matthew. All right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. I cannot wait to share this travel issue with you all. The pictures of Matthew, and he actually was the photographer. We didn't ask him about that, but we'll be able to see that. He was the photographer for Chile, which was an amazing experience. But I hope that you all will take a little bit of what he said, be good to your soul, be kind to your neighbors, and just get a little sunshine every day. I think it can make the world a better place. We love you all for being a part of our family here at Lenox and Parker, and we will see you next time. This is Christal Jordan, your editor-in-chief, signing off.